pursuant to Chapter 4, Section 85, and Chapter 69, Section 2706 of the New York City Charter. A joint meeting of the Bronx Borough Service Cabinet and Bronx Borough Board will take place today, virtually Thursday, July 28th, starting at 10:05. I will begin with roll call of the community boards, but really quick, I also want to acknowledge that we are joined by newly appointed chairs and newly appointed district manager. I will start with Community Board 1.
Good morning, Arline Parks from Community Board 1.
Good morning, Madam Chair. Community Board 2.
Good morning, Ralph Acevedo, District Manager. Good morning, Madam Deputy.
Good morning, Rafael. Great to hear from you. Community Board 3.
Community Board number 3, Reverend Frederick Crawford.
Good morning, Chairman. Community Board 4. Community Board 5.
Good morning, Shanna Knotts, Community Coordinator.
Good morning, LaShonda. Community Board 6.
Hello, Rafael More, District Manager, Community Board 6.
And welcome, Rafael, new District Manager. If we can give him a warm welcome, virtual round of applause.
Thank you.
Welcome, welcome. Community Board 7.
Good morning, Jade Guzman here, District Coordinator from Community Board 7.
Good morning, Jade. Community Board 8.
Laura Spalter, Chair. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
I'm sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. This is Ciara, District Manager of CB8.
Good morning, Ciara. Good morning, Madam Chair. Community Board 9. Community Board 10.
Good morning, Deputy Matt Cruz, District Manager.
Good morning, Matt. And welcoming newly appointed Community Board Chair 11, Jahe.
Hey, good morning, Yahe Obeid here. Thank you.
Good morning. Community Board 12.
Good morning, everyone. So excited to be here with you all and meet you, Beatrice Cornell, Chair of Bronx Board 12, Community Board 12.
Good morning.
Good morning, Madam Chair, and welcome.
Sorry, George, Community Board 12.
Morning, George. Again, I just want to reiterate and welcome newly appointed Chairman Yahe and Chairwoman Beatrice, as well as our new District Manager, Rafael Moore from CB6. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to our fun and lovely board cabinet meetings. So I'll run through the city council members. First up, the Honorable Deputy Speaker, Diana Ayala.
Good morning, everyone. Spooky, I'm sorry.
That's a new feature. Good morning, Jose.
Good morning.
Council Member Eric Dinowitz.
Good morning, everyone. Sabriena here from Councilmember Eric Dinowitz's office.
Morning, Sabriena. Council Member Kevin Riley. Councilwoman Marjorie Velasquez.
Good morning. My name is Tamara. I'm here for Councilmember Marjorie Velasquez.
Good morning, Tamara. Councilmember Pianina Sanchez.
Samantha Cardenas, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Sanchez.
Good morning, Samantha.
Good morning.
Councilmember Oswald Feliz. Councilmember Althea Stevens.
Good morning, everybody. Kate Connolly, Chief of Staff for Councilmember Stevens.
Good morning, Kate. Councilmember Amanda Farias. Good morning, good morning. Okay, great. Well, good morning once again, everyone. I'm sorry.
Deputy, you missed Salamanca's office.
Got it. Councilmember Rafael Salamanca, I was partying with him all night last night, so that's what happened.
No worries, no worries. Good morning, everyone. Shanna Knotts, Deputy Chief of Staff to Councilmember Salamanca. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
Good morning, Shannon. Yes, we had a great time. Again, good morning, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. We have a very important presentation this morning. It'll be short but very robust. And I just want to welcome the New York City Districting Commission. As you all know, the city charter requires the city council and the mayor to appoint an independent districting commission every 10 years following the decennial census. And so the process ensures council districts continue to reflect the population and the demographic changes. Commission members and their staff have begun to meet with and review all relevant laws. And I know the different council members and district and different community boards have hosted this presentation, but I wanted to get us all together virtually. And so we want to thank the commission for being here. The commission members and their staff, as you know, have met with on a one-off, but also collectively together and to review relevant laws and regulations and the most recent census data. Currently, the commission is hosting a series of public hearings. We've hosted a couple here in our rotunda as well. And so we have representatives from the commission with us today. And so I want to offer the virtual stage to Ali Rasalanajad and the Chief of Staff, and Miranda Goodwin-Robb, Assistant Director of Engagement, both who will be providing us with the background and information and answering any questions. And so I give the floor over to the commission. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Deputy Borough President. It is great to be streamed in the Bronx. And we appreciate having the opportunity to discuss the New York City council redistricting process with you. Obviously, we're just coming off the heels of state and federal process that played out. So we're looking to kind of build some awareness over what's happening on the local level. So my colleague Miranda is going to share her screen so we can start the presentation there.
All right, one second. Hi, everyone. My name is Miranda Goodwin-Robb. I'm the Assistant Director of Engagement here at the Commission. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, so this is very exciting to be here today. So can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Good?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right. So as the Deputy Borough President said, the census does require triggers redistricting of a lot of different districts, right? I'm sure a lot of us are familiar with state, congressional, state legislative and congressional redistricting, and now it is time for city council redistricting. All of these processes are triggered by the census. So, of course, state legislative and congressional happens in the year ending in 1, for elections ending in the year 2, and the city council, in the city charter, it mandates that we start this process in the year ending in 2 for elections ending in the year 3. So a little bit about the New York City Districting Commission. We are written into the city charter and we're assigned with the task of drawing 51 new city council maps. We have 15 members, 7 are appointed by the mayor, 8 are then appointed by the city council. Of those 8, 5 are appointed by the city council speaker, majority, and 3 by the council minority leader. And the city charter does, write out criteria for choosing these commission members, such as the borough that they're from, the party, minority status, and diversity, to the extent practicable, right? So they're supposed to be representative of this, broad and diverse city we love so much. So it's a little bit about the commissioners. I could spend the entire hour and a half of this meeting talking about their extensive experience with New York, different industries, different sectors, different boroughs, but take a look at our website, learn a little bit about them, because these are the 15 people that will be making the decisions for the City Council Alliance for the next 10 years. So a little bit about why this matters. The last census in 2010, the city was 8.2 million people, and now we're at approximately 8.8 million. So we're looking at 630,000 population growth. For context, that's about the size of Detroit, right? So that's if Detroit picked it up and you added it to New York City. So obviously some things need to change because we want people to have equal representation. So with 51 city council districts and a population of 8.8 million, that means the commission will draw new districts, and the approximate average size is 172,882. Not every district will be exactly that same size, but that's the ideal population. So not that I need to tell anyone in this audience why the city council is important, but it is the co-equal branch of our local government with the mayor, right? So the city's last budget that was passed in June was $101 billion. And as I'm sure we all know, that's bigger than most states, right? That's a lot of money, that's a lot of responsibility, and it's a lot of power. So we're talking about housing access, property tax, parks, sanitation, community safety, among so many other things, right? We're talking about agency oversight, appointments to community boards. So we really need people's input, and we want this process to work the way it's supposed to, so that the city council can accurately reflect, the broad diversity of our city. So a little bit about population trends. The census, obviously, this is very important, and that's part of the why we do the census, right? Is to understand the direction of population, the growth, the shrinking, anything like that. So the Hispanic population in New York City grew by over 150,000 people from 2010 to 2020. The Asian population grew by 345,000 people. The city's Black population shrunk by 84,000 people, and the white population shrunk by 3,000. And like I said, the district size will be, Ollie, do you want to go? Okay.
Go on. I'll start the next one.
Which is a job. So population deviation. So one really interesting challenge that's ahead of the commission is in the past, any two districts could be 10% away from each other. This 10% away, this wiggle room is called deviation. And it sounds kind of complicated and mathematical, but I think a lot of us, it's pretty easy to understand to the extent that, for example, the last commission's average population was around 160,000. That meant that any two districts could be about 16,000 people difference, right? So you could have two districts neighboring and the population was 16,000 people different. In 2021, Governor Hochul signed a law basically saying that all districts must be within a 5% deviation. And so that means there's less wiggle room, but that also means that there's less difference. And the spirit of this law is to get closer to that one person, one vote, right? We want people to be equally represented at the council. We want people to have, equal chance at budget, equal chance at, having representation. And so this 5% rule is something that no commission has dealt with before the 2022 New York State District 8 Commission.
All right, so Miranda just gave us some state law. I'm going to take it up to the federal level for a second. The Voting Rights Act of 1965 is something that the commission must follow while going through the redistricting process. Namely, the VRA prohibits our district maps from denying or diluting the voting power of racial and language minorities. Next slide, please. This is echoed to some extent in our city charter, where a number of requirements are laid out in ranking order for our commissioners to consider. You see 5 of them laid out here in numerical order: keeping neighborhoods and communities intact, keeping our districts compact. There's a certain criteria for that. Limiting the crossover of districts from one borough to another. There may only be one crossover from one borough to another. Avoiding the splitting of voters of the same political party. Avoiding oddly shaped districts. Next slide, we have 2 more over here. In terms of contiguous districts, that there must be some connection between one part of a district to another, whether it's by a bridge, a tunnel, a tram, a ferry service, and limit on crossover districts, which I actually discussed in the previous slide. So timelines. So the commission has completed its first round of hearings. By charter, the commission conducts a hearing and then releases a preliminary map. Our commissioners chose to do 5 hearings, so we had 5 hearings, 1 in each borough, including one that was in the Bronx. Then they released the draft map, or preliminary map, a couple of weeks ago, and now we're going into a second round of hearings, and we'll get to that in just a second. But our time frame, the time frame for the commission's work, puts us finishing potentially as late as February 7th, 2023. And on the next slide, we'll see some detail there. So these are the public hearings that were just conducted from May to July, 1 in each borough. The commission voted to release its preliminary plan on July 15th. And I imagine some folks here may have seen the plan already. If you haven't, our website is at the end of this presentation. It's nyc.gov/districting, and you can view it there. And shortly, we will be announcing locations and exact logistics to match up for public hearings that will occur in August. So you have some dates here. These are subject to change, but it will be roughly what we are working with. And then by September 22nd, the commission will be submitting a plan to the city council. Now, the next slide, we'll see how that works out. So once the commission submits its second plan to the city council, the council can approve the plan, say this is great, or it can just not take action. And after a certain amount of time, the commission can go ahead with 9 votes and submit that plan to the city clerk, and that will be what we are working with for the coming decade potentially for our city council. Or the council can formally object to the commission's plan. In that case, we start the process all over again. There's another public meeting. There's another revised draft. There's another round of public hearings. Then the commission ultimately will once again need 9 out of its 15 commissioners to vote on a plan. Once that is achieved, that is submitted to the clerk, and that is our new city council. Some resources here. We have, and this PowerPoint is on our website, by the way, so you can find these resources on a PowerPoint. Just click on them yourself. But the Department of City Planning has some great resources on their website. Census data kind of broken down into cool different ways. There's a map of Hispanic and Latino communities, a heat map of Hispanic and Latino communities that they've made using census data. They have a bunch of other different neat breakdowns. But I want to flag on the bottom here, Districtor. Districtor is a online software where you can build your own districts. The commission has recently worked with Districtor to create a layer for this, to allow for you to build your own council districts, and it will include the guidelines and the data that we are using here at the commission. So you can essentially become a commissioner, build your own council districts, save your council districts, and submit that link to the commission for us to review your map. Next slide, please. There we go. So when you are submitting your maps to us, and you can go on our website, it's on our homepage right now. You can find Districtor. You can send your maps, the link to your maps, to this email, publictestimony@redistricting.nyc.gov. You can also send in written testimony. You are welcome to send in testimony on just about anything related to redistricting, or anything really. It can be your block. It can be what you think your neighborhood should look like. It can be an entire readout of what you think the city council maps for New York City should look like. Feel free to weigh in at whatever your comfort level is. As well, if you have general public inquiries, or if you know folks who do have them, we have a general email on here as well, NYC Redistricting at nyc@redistricting.nyc.gov. And with that, we'll open it up to any questions, but just a quick reminder that verbal testimony is obviously also being accepted at the public hearings in August, which those exact dates will be announced shortly. And just want to stress that public testimony is the best way to weigh in on the redistricting process. So we hope that folks here are interested in doing that, and that you will invite us to also give this presentation in other places, so we can help generate more engagement in the redistricting process. Real quick stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much for the Districting Commission. I had a quick question before we open it up. Are these presentations offered in multiple languages? And
Yes.
if so, is that being promoted accordingly?
So this PowerPoint presentation is available in all 10 local law 30 languages. So that's the the top 10 languages in New York City in terms of demand, or in terms of usage. We're also happy to accept requests if there are additional languages that folks may want this material in.
But the actual physical in-person presentation, are they being presented in multiple languages as well? Or has it been predominantly English?
So all of the commission's own events that we host, our public meetings and our public hearings, we bring interpreters to those. We bring Spanish and Chinese baselines, and then we also accept requests at least up to 3 days in advance, and so we'll bring interpreters to those as well. If folks are inviting us to provide presentations, let's say in front of your community board or a civic organization, we actually ask that you provide interpreters for those events. We just don't have the bandwidth to provide for all the events we're going to, but for all of our events, we do provide interpretation, yes.
Okay. Thank you. So I just wanted to open it up to the entire board. If you have any questions, feel free. Chris, do you see any hand raised on your end?
Nah, oh, sorry. Yes, George Torres. George, you can unmute and go ahead.
Hey, what's up, guys? Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So, I only have two questions. Which districts grew the most or lost the most population? Basically, where did you see sort of the greatest discrepancies?
Miranda, do you have that off the top of your head?
Yes. So District 10 in Washington Heights lost the most population. And then District 9 or District 7 is right after that. Is what yeah.
So
these are both in
District 9
Manhattan.
and District 7 in Manhattan lost the most?
10. 10 was the most, and I think 7 is just after.
Okay. And how about which grew the most?
That I am not certain because there was such explosive growth throughout the city that I've looked at like heat maps, right? And we can, so I know that the 10 was the most populated, the loss, but I don't know the most about growth because there was such explosive growth in so many neighborhoods throughout New York City. Like we mentioned, 630,000 people, right? So
Yeah. Well, I mean, we saw the greatest population growth, you said, was the Asian community, which I would imagine would be Queens.
it's spread out throughout the city, is my understanding. Yeah, it's not. There's a lot of surprises when you look at the data. That's for sure.
No, but I guess what I'm getting at is you guys are coming up with a map, and from what I've read in the newspapers, there's talk about creating a new Asian seat in Queens. So and that means everybody else gets, compressed. Is that what you're looking at?
Well, I mean, we have, right, so we're locked into 51 council seats.
Yeah.
And, we are locked into certain laws. We spoke about the VRA, for instance, whereas, the commission cannot break or dilute the voting power of a population. So, for instance, there's an Asian population in South Brooklyn that has been identified. And so in that case, the commissioners have drawn a map that recognizes that population. So yeah, there is to some extent, there's a scarcity of resources here in terms of council districts. Yeah.
And there's no way since we grew, I mean, I guess that's also questionable because in the last 2 years due to the pandemic, there's much talk about we lost population in the past 2.5 years. So does that also take into account, or does the deviation take that into account?
So that's one area where, not to hammer it home too much, but public testimony is really important, right? Because we're working with a census file from 2020. And if you say, hey, I saw the census says so many people live on my block, but actually there's no one here, or the opposite, right? No one filled out the census in my neighborhood, but actually there's a ton of us living here. That's the kind of stuff where public testimony is so helpful, right? Because the census is a spreadsheet and you guys are experts in your communities. We're all experts in our own neighborhoods. And so if you help us fill in the blanks of the census, that's when public testimony becomes so important. So to the extent that the commissioners are made aware of something like that, it gets taken into account, right? And to the extent that they are experts in their communities and in New York City and they know about certain things, then it can be taken into account. But, if it's, do you see what I'm saying? It's sort of an art and a science, right? You have stories that people are telling in testimony, and then you have this hard data, and it's a way of bringing the two together.
All right. And my final question, and it's sort of, I was just thinking about it because you mentioned something, Ali, that I guess they don't do crossover districts, more than one per borough. But the Bronx has a unique feature up in the Riverdale section. And I'm, because we have Ayala's council seat that goes from the South Bronx to Harlem. And then in Riverdale, you have Marble Hill, which is technically Manhattan, or I don't even know how they work it out, but there is a channel now that, once used to be landlocked. I don't even know who the council person is up there. Do they come over into the Bronx, or, I know our council member doesn't go over into Manhattan. So how does that work?
Yeah, so the crossover district provision, and maybe I should be more clear when I state it. It's as in two boroughs can only link together once. So the Bronx and Queens link together on Rikers Island. The Bronx and Manhattan link together through the district that Councilmember Ayala represents, like you said. Marble Hill is legally a part of Manhattan. And that is in Council District 10, which is primarily Manhattan. So the Bronx currently has two crossovers. So there's that Rikers Island crossing over into, I believe that's Queens's 22nd Council District. And then you have that district that Councilmember Ayala represents that crosses over into the South Bronx and East Harlem, Manhattan. Yeah, so that's what it is. There can be multiple crossovers, but each boroughs can only link once.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I don't see any other hands raised. Just a reminder, if anybody on the phone wanted to raise their hand, they can do so by pressing *9. But having said that, I don't see any other hands raised, Deputy.
All right, wonderful. Again, we want to thank the New York City District and Commission for taking time out and prioritizing the Bronx and wanting to present to us all. And again, I know that you're working with different council members and different community boards to bring this presentation in person to our borough. So we thank you for your dedication and thank you for being with us this morning.
Thank you for having us, and we'll put some information in the chat so folks can check that out as well. Thank you.
Wonderful.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much.
Wonderful. Again, I promise today's meeting will be short, so we will run through announcements unless anyone has any questions before we go into announcements. Wonderful, wonderful. I just want to acknowledge that the OHMH is with us and they're here to provide our board with a brief update on actions that the city has taken recently in response to the increasing COVID-19 rates here in the Bronx, and the changes to track and trace, which I also understand is now track and treat, and also to give us an update on the city's response to monkeypox. So I want to hand it over to DOHMH really briefly, just to give us an update.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. My name is Kenneth Johnson. I'm on the community affairs team at the health department. For those of you that don't know me, I handle constituent issues for the borough of the Bronx. So, if you or any of your constituents are having any concerns, please let me know. I'll be dropping my contact information into the chat after I give a few updates. So I have I'll be as brief as possible. However, I know, this is a kind of a pressing issue, so I'm going to dive right in. So for monkeypox, as of yesterday, we are looking at 1,150 cases almost, though we do suspect that there are more that are unreported. The data gets updated about every 2 days on our website. There is a 2-day reporting lag. So, at the moment, we can safely assume that there are likely more than the cases that I just mentioned. The health department and the mayor's office are continuing to advocate to all levels of government, international health organizations, to demand more immediate action in terms of the monkeypox response. Basically, what's been happening so far is that in terms of treatment and vaccines, the supply is controlled by the federal government and CDC. And so basically, at the moment, New York City accounts for about 1/3 of all cases that we're seeing in the entire country. However, unfortunately, we're only being allocated about 15% of this. So that's a problem for us. And like I said, we're continuing to be in contact with different levels of government in order to get the federal government to release more vaccine doses. So for the vaccine appointments, I'm sure some of you may have been aware, basically as soon as they're available, they all get filled. That's just due to, overwhelming demand and not enough supply. So in the Bronx, we will have 2 vaccination sites, one at Bronx High School of Science and the other at Lincoln Hospital. But as I said, at the moment, all appointments are filled, excluding, cancellations or rescheduling. So I will share some more information in the chat, but just to give a little background information, the monkeypox virus is it's a pox virus. So if those of you that are familiar with smallpox, it's somewhat similar to that. The symptoms are sores and rashes on the body, usually on the hands, the face, the feet, or the genital area. It's spread primarily through skin-to-skin contact. So if you come into contact with someone who has these sores on their body, that is how you can be exposed. People usually are showing symptoms 1 to 2 weeks after exposure. However, we have seen some people show symptoms a little bit later, up to 3 weeks. Given that it's spread through close contact, skin-to-skin contact, different activities where, if you're at a nightclub or a sauna, bathhouse, different things like that can increase the likelihood of exposure. Transmission can happen during sex or other intimate activities, like, hugging, kissing, and of course, sexual contact, as well as coming into contact with bedding or other items that have the virus on them that have come into contact with another person's skin. However, at the moment, we can't say whether or not the virus can spread through saliva, semen, or other bodily fluids. It's primarily skin-to-skin contact. So for the eligibility criteria for the vaccine supply right now, which is subject to change, depending on how the situation evolves. But right now, the eligibility criteria is gay, bisexual, and other men who have sex with men, transgender individuals, gender nonconforming and non-binary people, 18 years and older, and they had to have had multiple or anonymous sex partners within the last 2 weeks. A majority of the cases that we've seen have been within, different communities that are part of the LGBTQ plus population. However, we do want to stress that, anyone can get monkeypox. This is not something that's unique to the communities that I mentioned. It's just that at the moment, many of the cases have been seen among these populations. In terms of releasing the vaccine to the public, we have opened up. I know there were some issues with the rollout previously, so we have opened up a phone line where people can call in and get appointments. I will share that in the chat. And in terms of getting alerts from the DOHMH, there's also a text number that people can contact in both English and Spanish to get alerts from the health department. I will also share that information. So for outreach in the community, there have been teams doing outreach in the city basically every day. I don't have the exact location off the top of my head, and I do apologize for that. But the health department has been very active in its outreach efforts over the course of the last several weeks. And I'll give a couple updates on COVID. So just some top level data. We're looking at about 6.5 million people who've received their primary dose. That's nearly 80% of all New Yorkers, 90% of adults, and just over 60% of children. The 7-day average in the Bronx is about 342 cases per 100,000 people, and that's just below the citywide average. Some of the biggest news that came out recently, vaccines have been approved for everyone ages 6 months and older. Of course, home tests are available through NYC Parks, other cultural institutions, as well as mailed home tests from USPS. And then I also want to inform everyone that in-person testing is available at sites all over the city. We do have city ran sites that are still in operation. However, I know there may have been some confusion. The federal funding and reimbursement for COVID tests did end several months ago. And so, if you go to a place like CityMD or another primary care care facility, after the facility bills a person's insurance, they may see a charge for the COVID test. But I do want to stress that there are many places to receive a free test, and we want people to be aware of that. I don't know if there's any time for questions. I'm happy to take some if there are, and I will leave my contact information in the chat, as well as some other useful information and links to our website. Thank you all.
Kenneth, thank you so much. And due to time, and again, we asked Kenneth to come in and just provide us with general updates considering the increase in monkeypox and the challenges in getting the vaccine and getting appointments. So we just wanted to have him on today, but we do want to encourage the community board to request a presentation for their communities from DOHMH. So we do have, if I can take 2 questions again, because we are running close to time. Any questions? 1 or 2?
I don't see any hands raised yet.
Okay. Kenneth, thank you again. If you can just share the resources in the chat, so we can help us spread the word widely. And again, thank you so much for making time today. I know it was a quick turnaround and you made it work for us. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you all. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you. Mike from DOF, any updates, announcements?
Welcome to those who are among us. Believe it or not, today I'm not going to talk about rent freeze. Isn't that something that's amazing? But I want to just make you aware in the communities that DOF I would like to partner with you this summer at your community events. In the chat, I put a link to our outreach request form. It's a simple form that you fill out and you email as directed on the form. You'll get a response within 24 hours, and we would like to come out to share information regarding homeowner and tenant benefit arrangements, especially if you're targeting seniors or people with disabilities. But it's not just that population that we are looking to reach. For many of you, probably even on the call, have family members that may qualify. So we're trying to get the information in the hand of the caregivers and the family members, the neighbors of these ones that are eligible and needing these benefits. So the information is there. If you have questions about what type of events we're coming out to or anything like that, my contact information is there. You can send me an email. But we are in the community. We are doing in-person events for the summer. And I just want to make all of the community boards, the elected officials represented, aware of that. And please reach out. If we can partner with you to share this information, we would really, really appreciate that. And we think it'll be a win-win for everybody. Have a great day, folks.
Thank you so much, Mike. And I just want to acknowledge our colleagues at the different city agency. We have representatives from NYC DEP. We have representatives from NYC DSS and representative from CCHR. We also have a rep from MTA. I don't know if the MTA has any announcements.
Thank you, Deputy Borough President. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
So my name is Megan Molina. I recently joined the MTA as an Assistant Director of Government and Community Relations for New York City Transit. I'm the new Bronx Borough rep, so I just wanted to quickly introduce myself, and I'll be sharing my contact info in the chat. Some of you have already had the pleasure of working with, and for everyone here who I haven't yet connected with, I'm looking forward to working with you. I don't want to take up too much time, but as everyone knows, we did launch the Bronx Local Bus Network redesign on June 26th. And we have been hearing positive feedback from customers about faster travel times, which is one of our main goals. But we're also hearing from electeds and community boards about changes that constituents are requesting based on what they're experiencing. So at this time, we're monitoring implementation and we're reviewing feedback that has been directed to me and also with our customer experience team. So to those who have reached out with comments from constituents, thank you. And you can continue sending those my way so that I can share those with our redesign team. And so I'll also drop the methods by which customers can reach out to the MTA directly, so that if you want to let constituents know how they can submit comments, there are various ways that they can do that between calling 511 and our online feedback portal. So I'll put all of that in the chat. And like I said, we're reviewing everything at this time so that we can figure out what modifications that we would make at a later date, if any, so we can say we can improve the network as a whole. And that's it for me today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Megan, and welcome. We're happy to have you. Any other announcements?
Good morning,
Hi,
Councilmember Sanchez just wanted to make sure that you all know and are invited to her first block party in front of our office this Saturday, July 30th, from noon to 4, along with the Borough President's office. And so we hope you all come out for some summer fun.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sam. Anyone else? Okay, great. We have a couple of announcements from our office. So first and foremost, I just want to acknowledge that on Saturday, June 22nd, we celebrated the life and legacy of the Honorable Aurelia Green as we renamed East 168th Street and Teller Avenue Honorable Aurelia Green Way. As many of you know, she served the Bronx for over 30 years, first as the assembly member for 27 years, and faithfully served as the deputy borough president for 6 years. And so we want to thank each and every elected official and community board member that attended, rejoiced, and celebrated with us. A special thank you to Council Member Althea Stevens' office for all your coordination of this event. We also want to extend our gratitude to all of the city agencies that were involved in making this beautiful event happen: DSNY, NYPD, and the New York State Police, the Parks Department, and the Mayor's Office for your assistance. Again, this was a beautiful, heartfelt celebration, and we want to just extend our gratitude to every single entity involved. Secondly, on Saturday, July 23rd, in collaboration with the New York Yankees, DSNY, and the Sanitation Foundation, as well as Amazon, and 39 special volunteers, a total of 600 pounds of trash was collected along the Mont Haven area. Yes, 600 pounds. Incredible. And so we look forward to the next cleanup effort, which is scheduled to be at Morris Park, and we'll be promoting it on our social media as well. Look out for our newsletter. The entire schedule of the Sanitation Foundation cleanup series will be updated and shared with you all. Additionally, our summer concerts are still in full bloom and full effect. This weekend, we have a special band in conjunction with the Bronx Dominican Day Parade. We have Luis La Fama, Miguel and John Q, and Eddie Montalvo performing. And as a reminder, the summer concerts take place at Orchard Beach between Section 8 and 9 on Sundays from 1 to 5 p.m. I hope that you can join us. It's filled with so much fun and dancing with our beautiful, beautiful Bronxite community. So please come one, come all, bring your folding chairs, bring your water, most importantly, but it's still in full bloom, and we are excited to continue our summer concert series. And as I briefly mentioned, this Sunday, I believe it's the 40th annual Bronx Dominican Day Parade is in full effect in partnership with La Gran Parada Dominicana. This is an organization that has been hosting the super hyper local Bronx Dominican Day Parade. So we will also be marching in the parade. Feel free to join our office if you want to join in on the fun. And lastly, as we move into August, we wanted to remind you all that August 2nd is National Night Out. This is a national community campaign that is meant to improve and promote community and police partnership. It's a day filled with so much fun, games, and great, great food. The borough president and I will be out and about. So please feel free to join us. It's an amazing opportunity for all of us to get to know our neighbors and our surrounding community of FAIR officers. And so, as I mentioned, the Bronx Borough President and I will be visiting every single stop, and we would love for all of you to join us. Again, we hope to see you all at our summer concert series this Sunday, and inviting you to join in on the Sanitation Foundation Cleanup Initiative. We'll share that information and promote it alongside our social media. And with that, this concludes our joint meeting of the Bronx Borough Service and Cabinet and Bronx Borough Board. We thank you all for joining us. Again, special recognition to the newly appointed chair persons, as well as our new district manager. We're so excited to have you on and looking forward to working with you all and collaborating with you all. Thank you. Thank you so much. Be well, stay safe, and most importantly, stay hydrated.
Thank you.